Hey everybody, I hope you're having a good day. I'm Tim Hockett. In my view, one of the biggest reasons for the division in America is that too many folks have forgotten that freedom carries responsibility. It's interesting to me that many of our freedoms come with huge obligations to use them wisely and ethically. What freedoms are most important to you? Most of us immediately think of free speech or freedom to own a gun or maybe freedom of religion. Another word for freedom is liberty, which is mentioned in the Declaration of Independence this way. It says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Liberty, synonymous with freedom. It was viewed by our founders as an unalienable right, or a right that can't be separated from us. But it's my contention that freedom can be a bit relative in a couple of senses. Not all freedoms carry similar weight, and most freedoms come with limits. I don't think the freedom to drive a car is as heavy or as weighty as the freedom of speech or to carry a gun. But last time I mentioned getting a driver's license. When you get a driver's license, you carry obligations like learning the traffic laws and how to operate the vehicle. We're tested before we can drive or out on our own. And the written test verifies that we know the rules of the road, and the driving test verifies that we know how to operate the vehicle and follow the signs and the signals and instructions. Yet the freedom to drive is not nearly as important as the freedom of speech, and we're not really given a manual on how to handle that, are we? Freedom of speech is something we all value. Does it carry obligations? You bet it does. There's a long list of things not protected by free speech, like slander or libel. You cannot ruin someone's reputation by lying. If you say it, it's called slander. If you write it, it's called libel. Let me digress for a second. I'm not Jewish, but I studied a lot of Talmud when I lived in Jerusalem, studied at the Hebrew University. The Talmud, by the way, is a massive collection of the interpretation of Hebrew law. In that body of literature, a discussion is held about the composition of courts. From ancient times well into the Middle Ages, the gravity of a matter determined how many judges were required to hear a case. For simple assault cases or for petty theft, for example, you needed only 3 judges. But for murder, you needed 21 judges. It's interesting to me that slander, bringing a bad name on somebody, was considered a capital offense requiring 21 judges, just like murder. Because if someone said Leah is a prostitute, her life was in danger. She could be killed by the community. This illustrates how important it is to be careful when we exercise free speech. A contemporary illustration may be found this year. In May, the former president was found liable for sexual assault, battery, and defamation. And the plaintiff, E. Jean Carroll, was awarded $5 million. The former president subsequently called her more names, and another defamation suit is set for trial in January of 2024. And by the way, he countersued her, and the lawsuit was dismissed by the judge, who said that Carroll's rape claim against him was substantially true. Similarly, we must not incite panic or incite a riot with our speech. I find it interesting in the New Testament that James says, "Be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger." He also says that the human tongue can actually light the world on fire. That's really true. Hopefully you agree that owning or carrying a firearm is also a heavy responsibility. It's the obligation of anyone with a firearm to know how it works, know the laws pertaining to it, how to handle and even store it safely, and above all, have the competency and maturity to carry the obligation that's inseparable from that freedom. Well, this has been a short discussion. Obviously, there are all kinds of freedoms that we enjoy. All I'm asking of you is that you remember that freedom carries responsibility. In closing, let me just mention that sometimes freedoms clash, and sometimes freedoms are quite limited. We say we live in a free country, right? But we can't just barge into someone's house and rearrange their furniture. I know that seems like a silly scenario, but you know what? Too many people today want to wrap their misbehavior in the flag of freedom. Let me tell you, if police cordon off a public area and tell you not to enter, don't enter. The best way to be patriotic and to demonstrate you really value your freedoms is to carry well the responsibilities and obligations that come with those freedoms. When we exercise our freedom responsibly, respectfully, with a view not only to our rights but the rights of others, we become more united and thereby even stronger. Think about it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share with others. See you next time. I'm Tim Hockett.